Each year I mourn for you. The morning is slow, like a deep wave rising, a rumbling in the sea, quake in the ocean floor, and from a monster's too full belly, a wave of aching rising from the deep. Where you are lodged in my gut like a white bone, piercing flesh and womb and red uterus, swollen blood boil, and a long slow mourning rises from the hollow bowels of the sea. Echoes and tremors across the vapid land, and for a second the electric sun dims out against a watery sky. Short circuit. Life flickers with the pain. Loss is so static. Racing hairs on your arms, the tiniest crackling against salted skin. Love is so short, they said, and oblivion so long. And each year you surface from the deep and float, white and vulnerable, silhouetted against a despondent sky. Each year they remind me, this was the day you were born. They do not know that for demons, as well as angels and gods, a human ear is merely one long, unending night. And still you swim inside me, your face turned upwards to an ungodly sky, rain beating down on your open eyes, and the white bone turns clean as an ivory knife, the blood boil about to rupture. The day you died to me, black tulips bloomed from the grave of your lies and spat blood in my eyes. And from each deep purple heart, like a long, slow bruise, opening, closing, your face rose cool and blue and opened its renegade mouth, full of petals. But at that moment I knew you no longer had over me that flower power. I was tired of loving your black moth mouth that played with the waltz and waltz of light, worlds dimming and shining at will until I was no longer sure if the candle's glow was gaslight or the gaslight a flickering gleam from your brilliant fire. And my brain was snapping like thin ice. And you still kept flapping your moth lips of lies. So the day that you died to me, I watched the black tulips bloom, and I gathered them in handfuls, black velvet, to put in my room, thick as night and still. They kept growing and growing and growing, a field of black tulips. Oh, they wouldn't be still. So I snapped off their heads, ate their petals by the hundreds till they were well and truly dead, all trace of them sundered, and my tongue was black with the knowing. I have always been afraid of flying insects and change. And now the unforeseen future turns frighteningly minute and crawls on me like a phantom cockroach, first on my chest, now in the lining of my too tight jeans, now near the corner of my mouth scraping edges with felt feet, now deep in my hair. You told me you were scared of butterflies, and I scoffed. But now each ear becomes a maimed, sightless insect with blind blue wings, brushing against my wet cheek. And my skin turns blue with dust, and my teeth turn taut. The taste of powder in my mouth. Soft, hairy feelers climbing up my neck. My face is covered in butterflies, and as the hairs rise, I shrivel like a fruit. But it is only your eyelashes against my skin. But now there are blood spots on my palm, like an inverted ladybird. And don't you see, I'm terrified of what is to come, of what is not to come, what is to come that we did not want to come, what is not to come that we did. You flutter in sleep, and my terror turns testimony to your nightmares. I do not know what you dream, but your skin crawls, and out from your hair a dream flits bright like a dragonfly and disappears into the dusk-laden light. Each day I worship at the shrine of the folded wing. No one knew how terrified I have always been. Your body like a mountain slips and tumbles into me. Breaking into soil, into fragments, rocks come tumbling, fumbling, like stories broken free. Crashing into boulders, heavy boulders of defenses, dashing your stone fortress that you built about your shoulders. Your ribs about to shatter. Caverns open in your chest. Scatter sand. And patter helter-skelter, a rain of rocks earth red, crumbling from the crest. Love runs swift for shelter. Stones slip loose and pelter on my open bones till they come home to rest. Crumbling, breaking, your hell-bent spine is aching from the weight. I am your ground to which you come, crumbling down. When the skies cease slow their rumbling and rains loosen earth and brine, then you open like a mine. You open like your mind.
Generally, when poets talk about depressing subject matter, they have a tendency to adopt an equally distressing, bleak, dull, dark tone to complement what they write about. But when you read Pawan's poetry, you actually feel the contrary effect. She is one of those few poets who simply loves celebrating this bleakness of life. She takes these negative, troubling emotions and she handles it with such grace and vibrancy. And that's what's absolutely striking about her writing. Um, Generally, when poets write, they have a tendency to focus on one particular emotion in an elaborative manner. But Pawan has this amazing skill of bringing in a series of emotions into one single poem. While poets like focusing a lot on diction and creating their word pictures, Pawan focuses mostly on the auditory aspect of her work. And the onomatopic, the alliterative use in her poetry is simply amazing. I loved how she has coined certain phrases, one of my favorite being the phrase flower power, which is a very interesting coining. She's very liberal and experimental kind of a writer who doesn't mind uh, messing with structure, playing with her phrases, and breaking the poetic norms. So by doing that, she has created an identity for herself within her poetry. I absolutely enjoyed reading her poetry, and I wish her good luck.